discharge teaching. That is something we do right before a family leaves the hospital. It can be done a couple different ways. I've seen it done as the physician comes into on postpartum and does it just with the parents. I've also seen it done as kind of like a bigger class at an appointed time where the doctor does it for all of the families who are supposed to leave that day. And it's just kind of a general lecture we give to families, uh, covering kind of like the major points, most common questions parents might have between leaving the hospital and their first newborn checkup 1 to 2 days post discharge. Okay, if you think of anything, P.S. I just wanted to add before I completely forget, please drop a comment, ask a question on the feed. I'll get to all of them. If you're seeing this later and you'd like to ask a question, please just drop it and I'll be checking back periodically, okay? So discharge teaching is something we do before you guys go home. Alrighty. Now, I've always told parents, whether this is your first baby or your 21st baby, we give the same talk to everybody. Okay? So we talk about things like how often should your baby eat? A brand new baby needs to eat every 2 to 3 hours while they're awake. Maybe there's a 4 hour gap overnight, but really should be about every 2 to 3 hours. Okay, that's because newborns' livers are not fully functional yet, and they're not really great at storing then releasing sugar. Okay, sugar is very important. Your brain needs sugar. Your liver is supposed to store and release sugar as needed to keep everything functioning optimally. Newborn livers, not great about that, not until 4 months old. Okay, so your baby needs to eat every 2 to 3 hours, maybe a 4 hour stretch at the max. But expecting a newborn to sleep through the night is a totally unrealistic expectation. So that's definitely not something we want to be looking for a newborn to do. If a newborn sleeps all the way through the night, that's actually a big problem. Okay, if we are a breastfeeding baby, it's typically, 10 to 20 minutes is a good feed, 20 minutes, maybe to 30 minutes starting out. It's kind of difficult. Breastfeeding is a little bit difficult. I have two girls, breastfed them both, and it was very surprising to me kind of how difficult it was at first. But once we got in a groove, everything was great. An efficient breastfeeder can empty a breast in about 10 to 20 minutes. If we're breastfeeding for like an hour, there's an issue there, and we need to figure out what's going on. And typically, there are outpatient lactation services to help with that. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I apologize. There's the back pain medication kicking in. Um, and so every 2 to 3 hours we want to eat. Goes same thing if you're a formula fed baby. I really only expect a formula fed baby to take maybe 2 ounces to start with, maybe 3 ounces. But trying to get your brand new baby to eat like 5, 6 ounces, that's too much, way too much for their little teeny weeny stomachs, okay? 10 to 20 minutes per breast, maybe an ounce to 2 ounces. 2 ounces is the sweet spot for a brand new formula fed baby, okay? I like to talk about things like spitting up. All babies spit up. They all do it, guaranteed. The question is just how much and how often, all right? They all do it. And it's because a newborn's lower esophageal sphincter is not mature yet. You have multiple sphincters in your body. Seventh grade boys, just get the laughs out now. Multiple sphincters in your body. There's actually one at the very bottom of your esophagus or the tube food comes down before it goes into your stomach. Okay, a sphincter is a circle of muscle, closes like a drawstring. In newborn babies and babies in general, that sphincter is very floppy, which contributes to the spitting up you see in newborns and little babies. Okay, why don't grown-ups typically spit up? Why don't school-age kids spit up? That circle of muscle, that drawstring of muscle right there, is better developed once you're older. Okay, newborns will spit up. All babies will spit up. My question is, what does the baby look like? What does the spit up look like? Okay, spit up that is bad is spit up that is green, dark green, spit up that is bright red, like there might be blood in it, or spit up that looks like your baby spit up coffee grounds. Why was my baby eating coffee grounds? Your baby wasn't eating coffee grounds. Coffee grounds like emesis or vomit indicates there's been a bleed somewhere in the upper GI tract, and blood that gets developed in the stomach ends up looking a little bit like coffee grounds, okay? Green spit up, bright red spit up, or coffee ground like spit up, all are very bad things. We want to see that kid in the emergency room. All right, and do yourself a favor, bring whatever the baby spit up on, okay? Spit up on you, the cloth, their onesie. You know, feel free to change everybody out, but please bring it all to the emergency room with you so we can take a look at it. All right, it's way better than you trying to describe kind of what it looks like to us. Just bring it with you. All right. We talked about eating, we talked about spitting up. Let's talk about the belly button. That belly button, the umbilical cord stump, typically comes off somewhere around 3 weeks of life. That typically dries up and falls off at about 3 weeks of life. There is nothing special you have to do for that. We used to say you need to clean around the umbilical cord stump with alcohol wipes. We don't say that anymore. The thinking is, you know, that drying cord stump over the new skin underneath in the belly button, it's like a scab. And if you get a scab wet, it's going to take forever to heal, okay? What we're doing when we're constantly wetting that area with the alcohol swipe is we're getting it wet. We don't need to do that. Let's just leave it alone. Comes off 2-3 weeks of life. You know, and there's nothing much else to do. Sometimes the skin underneath is still a little bit wet, still a little bit new looking. Sometimes there might be a little bit of scant discharge on the baby's onesie. That's okay. That's okay. What we worry about is an angry red around the belly button, you know, real firm skin, angry red and firm to the touch skin around the belly button, pain if we press in that area, or persistent, profuse drainage at that site. Ongoing, we got to change the baby's onesie frequently because of that drainage, okay? That's weird stuff. All right, that's something you should see the doctor for. But otherwise, leave that cord stump alone. Gonna fall off by itself. Skin underneath might be a little bit wet. That's okay. It'll dry up. No big deal. A little bit of scant discharge on the onesie. Totally fine. No big deal. Okay? So let's talk about pee. Your baby should pee 3 times within a 24-hour period. Within a 24-hour period. Okay, so what time is it right now? It's 13:09 right now. So 13:09 tomorrow, your baby should have made 3 pee-pee diapers, okay? Less than 3, we worry about dehydration, okay? So keep an eye on those diapers. Count them off as the baby makes them. You don't have to weigh them. That's a hospital thing, okay? Just make a little tick in whatever app or notebook that you're keeping. 1 pee-pee diaper, all right? We need 3 within 24 hours. Otherwise, we're worried about dehydration. Okay, let's talk about baby poop. What about the poop? How often should my baby poop? When are we pooping? Okay, breastfed babies can go up to a week without having a bowel movement, believe it or not. Okay, it's because breast milk is so efficiently utilized by a newborn that there's nothing left to make poop. It's all gone into making the baby. Okay, breast milk fed babies can go up to 7 days without having a poop. All right, if you come to see me and you say my baby doesn't poop, they're breast milk fed, it's like day 6. Question is, how's the baby acting otherwise? The baby otherwise seems okay? Are we still hungry? Are we still eating? Any other issues? Then it's okay. Formula fed babies, we typically expect every 1 to 2 days. So there can be 24, 48 hours in between poops. Typically, they're pooping every day, though. Formula-fed poops are typically just slightly firmer. Then breast milk-fed poops might be a little bit different color. Breast milk typically is yellow, mustardy, seedy, very liquidy. You know, formula-fed maybe a little bit more towards the greenish, a little bit more smooth. Okay, not so much watery, not so much seedy. Okay. When is bad poop? I worry about constipation if a baby is pooping little hard rocks, okay? Don't like that. Little hard rocks. If that kid goes every single day but has little hard rock poops that are hard to get out, that's a constipated kid. Come see your doctor. We can talk about it. I was thinking of next week doing constipation. Okay, let me know what you think about that. Do you want me to talk about infant and childhood constipation next week, or do you want me to talk about something else? Please let me know. I'm here to help. I've talked about these things 500,000 times in clinic, and but I want to let people know, I want to help people with the things they need help with. Okay, so you want me to talk about constipation next week? Let me know. You don't want me to talk about constipation next week? You want me to talk about something else? Let me know. Okay? So bad poop is black. Okay, black like my chair right here. Bright red, like there's blood in it, or it's white or kind of chalky looking. Okay, those aren't acceptable colors. Everything else, I've seen like bright green poop, I've seen bright yellow poop, all sorts of fun colors. Stuff that's black, bright red, like there's blood in it, or stuff that's white, very white and chalky, not normal. Please go see the pediatrician, all right? Even better, bring that diaper with you, okay? I said it. Pediatricians out there, you can get mad at me. You can tell me, okay? I tell parents, bring me the diaper. I want to see the diaper, okay? Bring that diaper in so your doctor can take a look at it. There's no dumb questions, okay? It's not dumb. I'm worried about my baby's poop. Can you take a look at it for me? That's what we're here for, okay? Bring that poop in. Let me take a look. All right? There are 3 bad colors. All other colors are totally great, okay? Let's talk about a couple more gender or sex-specific things, okay? Did your baby boy get circumcised? Okay, that's something we do a lot here in the United States. Typically, what we're going to tell you is for the circumcised penis, just put Vaseline on there. Okay, just cover it with Vaseline. The healing penis after circumcision is like an abrasion, I like to tell parents. It's like a bad road rash. Whenever you fell off your bike, I don't know if you remember, you fell off your bike when you were a kid and you really scraped up your arm because it's what caught you when you hit the concrete. That's what a healing circumcision is like, just a big abrasion. All right. So what we want to do is just keep Vaseline on the healing penis to keep it from healing to the diaper. Okay, because if that penis sticks to the diaper, it's gonna be super painful when you have to pull the diaper away. That's all we're trying to do. Vaseline on the healing penis to keep it from sticking to the diaper. The skin will heal very nicely. Typically by about 2 weeks of life, it's looking the way you expect it to look. Okay. Circumcision, lots of Vaseline on the healing part of that penis. Keep it from sticking to the diaper. About 2 weeks of life, it'll be looking the way you expect it to look, okay? Little baby girls very often have very engorged external genitalia, very engorged labia. And sometimes we can even see a little bit of bloody mucus discharge, okay, within the first week of life, okay? This has to do with the circulating maternal hormones, okay? Up until very recently, baby's blood and mom's blood were the same, okay? Lots of hormones involved in pregnancy. Don't know if anybody ever told you that. Lots of hormones involved in pregnancy, and the both babies' bodies, baby boy and baby girl's bodies, are being affected by that high level of circulating estrogen, okay? When a little baby girl is born, she will have very commonly estrogenization, it's a long word, of the external female genitalia. So we're talking more puffy labia, more obvious hymen, kind of redundant hymen that kind of hangs out of the opening for the vaginal canal. And sometimes these little girls might have a little bit of bloody mucoid vaginal discharge, okay? That has to do with the withdrawal of the estrogen, okay? Once baby's blood supply is cut off from mom's, the circulating levels of estrogen go down because that hormone is being processed out of the body, and the little girl might experience, based on that estrogen withdrawal, might experience what I've always told parents is like a little baby period, and we have a little bit of bloody mucoid discharge. Okay, that's fine, that's normal, it doesn't hurt the baby, it really only happens once and then it's done. Okay, I've had literally two middle of the night newborn visits in the ER. I've had to go down and staff because nobody mentioned this to the parents, and it happened and they were worried something was really wrong with their baby. Okay, so not uncommon to see a little bit of bloody mucoid vaginal discharge in your baby girls within the first week after they're born. Okay, so that's genital talk. Here we talked about poop. All right, let's talk about, is my baby sick? Is my baby sick? What we're hoping for when we have you leave the hospital is that your baby's fine, totally fine, no need to come back until we get our checkup, okay? But a number of babies get very, very ill after they're born, okay? This has to do with bacteria that normally lives in mom's perineum, all right? And so those babies can get very, very sick. What does a sick baby look like? They all cry. They can't tell me I'm sick. What does the sick baby look like? The baby's not going to eat very well. The baby's going to be very irritable. Conversely, the baby may be very, very sleepy and difficult to awake. We're worried about a fever. Remember, a fever is 100.4 or greater, okay? 100.4 or greater. Okay, that's the definition of a fever. But conversely, brand new babies might actually have a low temp, like less than 97.5, okay? And that's because a brand new baby, their body has to make a choice. Do I fight this infection, or do I use my very limited energy stores to keep my body temperature stable? Okay, sometimes that baby makes the choice to fight the infection and their body temperature will start to drop. Okay, so if your baby does not have a fever, but you're worried about your baby is not acting right, and in fact your baby's temperature is kind of low, take that baby to the ER, okay? Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Take your baby to the emergency room. All right. Remember, the most accurate way to take the baby's temperature is rectally, okay? They won't remember. They won't remember, okay? The most accurate way to take a baby's temperature is rectally. I just wanted to put that out there. If you can't do it, and you have to take it axillary, we'll work with what we can get. But the most accurate way to take a baby's temperature is rectally. Okay. What else are we going to talk about? Lots of babies are born with birthmarks. Okay, lots of babies have little freckles or spots or cute little flat patches on them when they're born. I've always specifically liked to talk to parents about slate gray macules, also known as steel blue macules, way back in the day when we were politically incorrect, known as Mongolian spots. Very, very common birthmarks we see in baby, typically show up on the back, kind of sacral area, maybe the buttocks, but can also be found on the extensor wrists, down on the ankles, things like that, higher up on the shoulder blades. These are very normal in up to 90% of African American babies, more common in darker skinned newborns, but like up to 10% of Caucasian babies can have these birthmarks too. So why are they important? Why am I talking about them? They look like bruises. They kind of look like bruises. And people who are not used to seeing these birthmarks on children worry that this child has been abused. Okay, I have multiple stories of well-meaning daycare providers, emergency room physicians, people like that, people who are brand new to this child, maybe not super familiar with kids in general, seeing these birthmarks and saying, oh my God, somebody beat this child. Sending them off for an evaluation, okay? Slate gray macules, very common birthmark, something I always point out to the family on my newborn exam and let them know what this is so they can tell new daycare providers, new physicians, new babysitters, anybody like that, hey, Timmy's got these birthmarks on his back. They kind of look like bruises. They're kind of weird. They've been present since birth. The doctor knows about them. They're in his medical records. Okay? So just head off any worry at the pass. All right? Remember, baby has to sleep flat on his back on a firm, flat surface with a nice, thin, tight-fitting sheet. Okay? And nothing else in the crib. No bumpers, no toys, no DockATot. I'm very sorry. Those have been recalled due to a number of infant deaths. Lay the baby flat on his back on a nice naked mattress in a nice uncluttered sleeping space. Hey, babies should be discharged on vitamin D. All right, typically it's 1 drop once a day. And some babies do better than others. You can totally put it in their formula or breast milk if you're giving them something to eat out of a bottle. I typically will say put that 1 dropper in maybe 1 ounce of breast milk or formula in the bottle. That way we can feel pretty sure the baby took it all. As opposed to making a 4-ounce bottle, we put the 1 dropper in, baby only drinks 2 ounces. Did the baby really take his vitamin D? It's just something I like to tell parents. You can start that vitamin D as soon as you leave the hospital. American Academy of Pediatrics says there's no reason to not start it as soon as you leave the hospital, okay? It used to be there was some teaching about it needs to maybe when the baby's 2 weeks old. I think there was a question about breastfeeding interference. I breastfed both my girls. I didn't see any issues. The vitamin D is very important, okay? Rickets still exists. Rickets still exists, and it's more worrisome for infants who are darker skinned, who are going to be inside because they're born in the winter months. Those babies typically don't have a whole lot of sun exposure. We need that vitamin D in the drops to keep them from getting rickets, okay? One dropper once a day. Start it right when you leave the hospital. For breast milk, most babies, so babies who are drinking breast milk mostly for their milk intake, we talk about doing that till they are 12 months old. Okay, I've had parents ask me, well, my baby's formula fed exclusively. We just want to do formula. Isn't there enough formula isn't there enough vitamin D in the formula? Not at first, okay? You need to be giving that vitamin D to the exclusively formula fed baby until they take 32 ounces of formula a day. All right, that's 3 ounces every 8 hours. Your brand new baby in the beginning is not doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. We're talking more 2 ounces every 2 hours for a brand new baby, 2 to 3 hours. All right, so breast milk fed babies or breast milk mostly fed babies, 1 ml of vitamin D up to 12 months old. Formula mostly babies need 1 ml of vitamin D until they're taking 32 ounces of formula per day. Okay? Vitamin D temperature, let's see, back to sleep. Okay. The last thing I like to talk about to parents is shaking the baby. All right. And the vast majority of parents I've seen, they kind of like laugh uneasily, or they're like, what are you talking about? That's insane. We don't shake the baby. And we tell you this because it happens way more often than you would think. It does. I was shocked as a resident when I learned exactly how often parents end up shaking the baby, okay? And really to an extent, it's almost a normal response, okay? Having a new baby is very stressful, okay? You are not getting a lot of sleep. And around like 4, 6, 8 weeks in there is what we call the period of purple crying. They'll just start crying for no particular reason, and you cannot get it to stop. Very, very common, but it can be extremely stressful for parents, okay? More so for parents who don't have the best coping skills to start with, parents who have limited support structures, parents who may or may not be dealing with substance issues. It is very, very hard to deal with a brand new baby who's just crying when you're already sleep deprived. You can't figure out what's going on, okay? If you feel like you want to shake the baby or hit the baby or throw the baby, okay, what I want you to do is put that baby down in a safe spot, okay? The crib, the baby's little buzzy chair, okay? The playpen. All right, put that baby down on her back in a safe spot, and I want you to leave the room, okay? Give it 5 minutes. Give it 10 minutes if you have to, okay? Take a breather. Crying is not gonna hurt that baby, okay? Some babies need to have a good cry to let out stress, believe it or not. That baby can't go for a run. That baby can't make itself a drink. That baby can't go to the shooting range when they're stressed out, okay? Some babies cry to let off steam, okay? That baby's crying. You're getting super stressed out. Put the baby down in a safe spot. Leave the room. Take a solid 5. Take a solid 10. Nothing bad is going to happen to that baby if you put them down in a safe spot, okay? No baby has ever died from crying, but I have personally seen way too many babies who were killed or permanently disabled because a parent shook them, okay? And it happens more often than you think. All right, so put that baby down and take a walk. And that's typically how I end my discharge teaching. I want that information to really sink into those parents. Everything else is important too, but I want that last piece about not shaking the baby to really sink in for those parents, okay? Because I've been there. I've not shaken my baby, but I'm a board certified pediatrician. This is my whole life. This is my whole job, and I've wanted to. It's hard. It's very hard to be a new parent. Okay, all right. I do have a couple questions here. One of my friends who is also a pediatrician said, "Take a picture." He doesn't want me to. He doesn't want you to bring in the diaper in a Tupperware container. I want you to bring it in a Tupperware container, okay? I think it's hilarious. All right, he just wants pictures. So you can take just pictures if you want to, but I always giggled when parents brought out that Tupperware container with the diaper in it. Okay, so either way, okay? Baby has a weird poop, take a picture to bring it into the pediatrician, or if you're going to see me for some reason, just bring in a Tupperware container. I want to see it. Another one of my friends recommended noise canceling headphones were clutch for her when she had a new baby. 15 minutes, deep breaths for mommy and daddy. Take a second and regroup. Okay? And Samantha, thank you so much for watching. You guys are so sweet. I know how busy you guys are. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I got a text message while we were doing this. We talked about constipation for next week. Somebody had a couple other suggestions. Baby rashes, okay, that's another big one. Oops, I lost you guys. Baby rashes are another big one. Thrush, pets, older kid regression management, and how do we introduce our baby to the new pets, okay? Lots of options here for talks in the future. All right, you guys are doing great. Don't stress. Hopefully we're coming to the end of this quarantine thing. All right, we can all get back out there and enjoy our lives. Daycare can't get started again soon enough. All right, but not before it's safe. Not before it's safe. Okay, I really enjoyed talking to you guys today about newborn discharge teaching. It was always one of my favorite things to do as a pediatrician when I'd see families in the hospital. There's a lot to think about and always made me giggle a little bit when I'd ask parents at the end, do you have any questions? And they would be like, very young parents, first baby, and be like, no, we don't have any questions. And it's like, all right, guys, if you think of anything new, write it down, because having a baby is one of the craziest experiences, but yet really also one of the most joyous experiences I've ever had in my life. And if you don't feel that way, that's totally fine. Some kids aren't for everybody. They aren't. It's a lot. You got to be in it to win it. And if you don't want to have kids, I applaud people who know enough about themselves to know that it's not for them. Okay, so next week, maybe we'll talk about constipation. Unless other people had other ideas, okay? Leave me a comment, send me a DM. I'm on Instagram, Expert Care Online. You can send me a DM through there. You can send me a direct message through our Facebook page. You can email me, Lisa Dienno, LISADIENNO at expertcare.online. Expert Care, no E. Hi, Joan. My mother-in-law just joined in. Hi, Mom Barang. Hi. And let me know, okay? Thanks so much for stopping by. I always appreciate it when I get a chance to talk to you guys. All right, take care now. See you next week. Bye.